They never told you this: the biggest shifts in your life wouldn't come with explosions, fireworks, or grand moments of realization. In fact, the most profound transformations often happen in the midst of confusion, silence, and stillness. It's when you wake up and look around at your life and it just doesn't fit anymore. You feel like you've outgrown your current reality, like the walls you see around you are built from old versions of yourself. Not wrong, just expired. You can sense it. Something deep inside whispers, but not physically, not symbolically, quantumly. Most people think quantum jumping is just a metaphor, a spiritual concept about changing your mindset or imagining a better future. But what if it's not just a metaphor? What if, just like in quantum physics, it's a real, measurable process, a shift of energetic alignment so precise, so immediate that change happens without the need for a bridge? No step-by-step guide, no staircase, just a sudden relocation of yourself, much like an electron jumping from one orbit to another, without passing through the space in between. In quantum mechanics, this is known as a discontinuous transition. The electron doesn't travel from one energy state to another. It disappears from one place and reappears in another instantly when enough energy is absorbed. That's not poetry, that's physics. And what if you, as a vibrational being, entangled with infinite timelines, function in the same way? What if every time you felt the urge to let go, break free, or walk away from something, it wasn't just emotional restlessness, it was your energetic field preparing to make a jump? But here's the thing: most people don't listen. They rationalize, they wait, they analyze the cost of change while their soul has already moved on. The mind tries to catch up to a decision the heart already made. This is why transformation feels chaotic. It's because you're fighting a jump that's already started. The only thing delaying the shift is your attachment to the how. See, quantum jumps don't follow logic. They don't need explanations. They don't need a detailed roadmap. They just need coherence, alignment, and a decision that vibrates louder than your fear. That's when the field responds. That's when the jump locks in. And you've felt it before, haven't you? That moment when a relationship ended and you suddenly felt 10 years lighter. When you quit a job and the air tasted different. When you stopped explaining yourself and the world responded with silence. Then with miracles. Those were jumps, not gradual changes, not linear progressions. Leaps not in your calendar, but in your signal. The reason you didn't see immediate proof wasn't because nothing happened. It's because the field was still reorganizing around your new coordinates. That's how it works. The moment you choose, not wish, not hope, but choose a new state of being, field begins rearranging. But most people abort the jump too soon. They get nervous when nothing changes in 3D reality right away. They doubt themselves, return to their old patterns, and the timeline collapses back to the familiar. But here's the twist: quantum jumping doesn't require belief. It requires broadcasting. You don't have to convince yourself that it's real. You just have to stop sending the signal of who you used to be. And that's where this video begins, because over the next few minutes you're going to understand why quantum jumping isn't just a metaphor. It's a process. Science. And when you learn to engage it deliberately without waiting for life to push you, you stop reacting to circumstances. Instead, you start selecting them. So don't try to understand it all at once. Just stay with it. Watch what unfolds. Because if something already feels different in your body right now, if you feel a subtle shift happening, you may already be jumping. You can't jump while holding on. That's the first rule, and the one most people resist. Because jumping isn't about getting something new. It's about becoming someone different. And that means letting die what no longer vibrates with the frequency of your future. Thoughts, habits, personas, timelines, and narratives. These things must go. Not all at once, but energetically fully. You cannot broadcast the frequency of your future while still staying entangled with the emotion of your past. The field cannot receive two signals at once. It doesn't respond to the louder signal. It responds to the clearest one. This is where quantum mechanics and identity psychology overlap. In the quantum field, all possibilities exist simultaneously as potential. You don't create your new timeline, you access it. The key isn't doing more, trying harder, or visualizing for longer periods. The key is collapsing the wave of your current self, becoming emotionally and neurologically unavailable for the version of you that created this present reality. And that's the paradox. You don't find your new life by fixing the old one. You jump by no longer being the person who needed it fixed. This is not theory. In neuroscience, we understand that identity is not just a story. It's a set of neural pathways. When you wake up and immediately replay your problems, anxieties, regrets, you're reactivating the familiar self. That self has a frequency. That frequency tells the quantum field, keep broadcasting the same thing. But what happens when you interrupt that loop, when you wake up and ask yourself, what would my future self do now and then, without any evidence to support it? You act as if, not pretending, not faking, but deciding. Because every future is a frequency, and every identity is a code. You don't earn it. You tune to it. And that tuning requires one thing above all: emotional congruence. If you affirm abundance, but still feel scarcity, the field responds to the feeling. If you visualize success, but still carry guilt, that's not failure, that's feedback. The universe is not judging you. It's calibrating to you. So the question is, what are you still emotionally practicing that belongs to the version of you that you're leaving behind? Worry, people-pleasing, hiding. These aren't just patterns. They're frequencies. And they're keeping you entangled with the timeline you say you want to leave behind. To collapse the old identity is to stop rehearsing it. And you don't need 30 days, 21 steps, or a ritual moon cycle. You need a moment of total energetic honesty. You look at the version of you that is addicted to the old story, and you say, I love you, but I no longer choose you. That's the split. That's the jump. That's the shift the field responds to. The field is always scanning for coherence, not perfection, not excitement, coherence. Where your thoughts, feelings, actions, and beliefs. When you hit that note, even for a second, the quantum field locks in. And then something strange happens. The need to prove, to push, to get dissolves. You feel neutral. You feel clear. And that neutrality is not detachment. It's evidence that the old identity is no longer active. This is why transformation feels boring sometimes. It's not because nothing is happening, it's because everything is happening inside you. The noise quiets down, the chaos fades. Your true self begins to emerge. The field responds not to effort, but to your energetic integrity. When your identity and energy align with your new timeline, the external world has no choice but to rearrange itself around that new frequency. So the question now is, are you ready to let go of the old frequency, to stop practicing the past, and to step into the quantum shift that's already happening within you? The universe is waiting for you to claim it. Because without the drama of doubt, without the friction of duality, there's just presence. And presence is power. You are no longer waiting for the shift. You are no longer becoming the self. You are the self. And the field, like a mirror with no delay, begins to reflect that back. But only if you hold it only if you don't blink, only if you don't revert when the evidence doesn't show up on your timeline fast enough. This is what separates a quantum jumper from a quantum wisher. One sends a signal and stays in it. The other sends a signal and waits for proof. And when the proof doesn't come, they collapse back into the old self, the old broadcast, the old life. But not you. Because by the end of this video, you'll know how to hold the signal, how to drop the doubt, how to collapse the you that can't go where you're going. This isn't about metaphysics. It's about memory, remembering the version of you that already exists, choosing to live from there. And in the next part, I'll show you how to make that choice stick. Most people don't need more information. They need a protocol, something they can actually do when the mind spirals, when the body panics, when the old identity tries to pull them back. So let's break the myth right now. Quantum jumping is not a one-time decision. It's a sequence, a vibrational ritual. The process has 5 steps. Not linear, not forced, but energetic postures that allow you to become the version of you that already exists in the timeline you've been trying to reach. Let's call it the broadcast shift. Step 1, recognize the discomfort as a signal, not a sign of failure. Every time you feel the old self coming back, fear, self-doubt, delay, don't judge it. Don't resist it. Recognize it as your signal that you are on the threshold of the jump. In quantum terms, the discomfort is energetic interference, static between your current frequency and the one you're tuning to. The mistake most people make is interpreting this static as a no, when it's actually a recalibration. Step 2, interrupt the emotional pattern immediately. When the old emotion kicks in your body, wants to follow the path of least resistance, the familiar story. But here's the power move: interrupt the broadcast. Change your posture, change your breath. Speak out loud. Do something physical and symbolic to stop the loop. Neuroscience shows us that pattern interruption is the fastest way to disrupt neural coherence and create space for a new choice. Step 3, embody the frequency of the timeline you want. This is the jump point. You ask yourself, if I already had what I wanted, how would I feel? And you let that feeling take over your nervous system. Not pretending, not visualizing, but being for 90 seconds, 3 minutes, however long it takes to flood your field with coherence. You don't need to see the outcome. You need to feel the alignment. The field doesn't measure the outcome. It measures the signal. So broadcast it. Step 4, make one action from the new identity. Quantum jumping doesn't mean sitting in silence waiting for reality to catch up. It means taking action from your new broadcast. Not to get something, but to demonstrate the shift. Maybe it's a message you send, a boundary you hold, a new thought you practice. It doesn't matter how small. What matters is that it's in character with the version of you that's already living in the new frequency. This creates entanglement. The field begins to mirror back proof because your signal just became measurable. Step 5, detach from the timeline. Stay in the vibration. This is the most misunderstood part. Most people do the ritual, feel good, and then start scanning reality for results. The moment you look for proof, you've stepped out of frequency and back into fear. Real jumping means staying in the vibration even when nothing changes yet, especially then. Because that's the ultimate test and the field is always listening. Let's make this tangible. Try this ritual tomorrow morning. Wake up, sit upright. Before checking your phone, breathe and feel the answer, not from thought, but from posture, breath, and energy. Maybe the answer is calm, bold, trusting, expansive, free. Whatever the answer, hold that signal for 2 minutes. Then walk into your day as if nothing else exists but that version of you. Speak from it, move from it, react from it, and watch what shifts. Because when your entire being becomes the new signal, reality no longer has the choice to resist. It must obey. Not because you're forcing it, but because you're no longer matching the old reality's echo. You've stopped being a receiver. You've become a transmitter. And transmitters don't chase proof. They create it by holding the frequency until it materializes. In the next section, we'll explore what gets in the way of this process and why most people collapse the new broadcast without realizing it. More importantly, I'll show you how to anchor the jump. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't fail to jump because they didn't want it enough. They fail because they didn't understand the mechanics of energetic sabotage. They thought the doubt was harmless. They thought checking for results was normal. They didn't realize that every time they asked, "Is it working?" they were collapsing the broadcast and falling back into the orbit of the old self. Let's break this down. In quantum physics, the observer effect shows us that the act of measuring a particle changes its state. In human transformation, the act of doubting your shift changes its frequency. It's not about being positive all the time. It's about not interrupting the new signal with the old identity's fear. Because here's what happens: you declare a new version of yourself. You feel it. You act from it. The field begins to respond, but then silence. No proof. No sign. Your old programming kicks in. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I did it wrong. And in that moment, your frequency collapses. Not because the shift wasn't real, but because you stopped broadcasting it. And the quantum field can only mirror what you sustain. This is where emotional mastery becomes essential. Not emotional suppression, but awareness. You start to feel doubt. Name it. Don't become it. You feel impatience. Observe it. Don't feed it. You catch yourself looking for signs. Pause. Return to the signal. Remember, every emotion is a frequency, and the field is not personal. It's mechanical. It doesn't punish you for fear. It just reflects it. So the question isn't, how do I stop feeling this? It's, which feeling do I choose to embody even when this one shows up? This is what it means to anchor the jump. You don't wait to feel ready. You practice being the signal until that signal becomes your nervous system's default. And here's the paradox. The less you chase the result, the faster it arrives. Why? Because chasing implies separation. Separation implies lack. And lack tells the field, this isn't mine. So when you say, "I'll believe it when I see it," you've already lost. But when you say, "I believe it, and that's why I'll see it," you've jumped. That's what it means to choose yourself without proof. To back your new identity even when the world hasn't caught up. To stop waiting for permission to be who you already are. And that's what I want you to claim right now. So here's your invitation, not just to observe this content, but to engage it. Comment below. I choose myself. Say it, type it, anchor it. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but for your own coherence. That small act, that micro-broadcast of emotional certainty, is exactly what your field is waiting for. Not action, not perfection, alignment. Alignment that says, I don't need to be convinced, I'm already there. This is how timelines stabilize. Not through effort, but through the repetition of signal. The one who returns to the vibration, the fastest regardless of what shows up, is the one who shifts reality first. And that could be you. I'll show you now what happens once the field begins to respond, and why the chaos you may feel isn't proof of failure, but confirmation of the shift. So what actually happens when the jump begins to land? Not the visualization, not the decision, but the moment when your field, your sustained broadcast, becomes so consistent, so precise that the quantum field has no choice but to reflect it back. Chaos, silence, reorganization. Because here's the part no one tells you. Your new frequency doesn't just attract what you want, but no longer matches. At first, that can feel like loss, like confusion, like everything is falling apart. Right when you finally committed to the new version of yourself, this is the paradox of the shift. You jump and suddenly your relationships feel distant. Your job feels foreign. Your habits feel toxic. Nothing bad is happening. What's happening is energetic misalignment being exposed. Think of it this way: you were once vibrating at 93.7 FM, and your life, your people, your patterns, your experiences were all tuned to that signal. But now you've shifted. You're now broadcasting at 104.5. You're still in the same room, but you're broadcasting something entirely new. So naturally, some things start to drift. Conversations feel off. People don't understand you. Opportunities disappear. The familiar feels hollow. That's not regression. That's resonance correcting itself. In quantum terms, you've shifted your vibrational signature, and the field is now recalibrating, removing everything entangled with the old version of you. It's not rejection, it's realignment. You may feel alone. You may feel tested. You may even question if you made the right choice. But this is exactly the space where reality starts to bend. When the old timeline loses its grip and the new one hasn't fully materialized yet, you're in the void, the sacred in-between, the place where your job is not to react, but to remain and signal. This is where your nervous system is most tempted to go back, to reach for the familiar, to apologize for the shift, to tone it down, slow it down, to second-guess the decision. But this is the moment of anchoring, because what most people call tests from the universe are not tests at all. They're echoes of your past frequency bouncing back one last time, asking, "Are you sure?" And you don't answer with words. You answer with embodiment. You wake up. You breathe into the frequency of your new self. You take actions that the old self never would. You stop explaining your evolution to those who demand evidence. You let go, not of people, but of the version of you who needed their validation. And then something shifts. A message from someone new. An opportunity that didn't exist before. A synchronicity so perfect, so improbable, it makes you laugh through the tears. These aren't coincidences. They're confirmations. Proof that the field has locked in, that the broadcast is now your baseline, that you're no longer leaking energy into old stories. It may not happen all at once. It may take a few days, a few weeks, but it always happens because reality isn't random. It's rhythmic, and when you become the rhythm of your next level, your timeline tunes itself to you. So don't fear the silence. Don't interpret the void as failure. Don't mistake the loss of alignment for punishment. Instead, see it for what it is: a clearing, a vibrational detox, a cosmic vacuum making room for the version of you that's already arrived, waiting to be received. And in the next and final part of this video, I'll show you how to stay on the new timeline long enough for the breakthrough to become your new normal. Because it's not enough to jump, you must remain. There's something powerful about a decision no one else sees, a quiet choice you make within. Before the evidence, before the applause, before the alignment shows up on the outside. That's the real quantum jump. Not the vision board, not the meditation, but the moment you stop broadcasting lack and start embodying your own frequency with no witnesses but the field itself. Because the field is always watching, not like a judge, but like a mirror, a neutral infinite intelligence that bends to one thing: only your broadcast. And now you know what that broadcast truly is. It's not your thoughts. It's not your wants. It's not your words. It's the vibration you hold even when no one is looking. And the most potent frequency you can hold is certainty. Not certainty in outcome, but certainty in self. When you choose yourself not once, but over and over, in the silence, in the unknown, in the waiting room, between identities, you are sending the strongest signal the universe can receive. You're saying, "This is who I am, and I don't need proof to be it." That's when the shift becomes real. That's when the new timeline can finally land. Not because you chased it, but because you matched it. You became it. And from this point on, reality is no longer a condition. It's a confirmation, an echo of the version of you that already exists. now made visible. So don't look for results. Look for resonance. Don't ask, is it working? Ask, am I broadcasting my future, or am I rehearsing my past? That one question will collapse illusions, timelines, and old selves in a single breath. Because when you stop seeking the shift and start becoming the shift, everything reorganizes around you. And it won't be dramatic. It won't be loud. It'll be subtle, elegant, and inevitable. A new friend who arrives at the exact moment you stop needing one. An idea that shows up when you stop forcing answers. An opportunity that makes no logical sense but every energetic sense. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's the quantum field whispering back message received. So if you felt something stir in you during this video, if something clicked, shifted, resonated on a level you can't quite explain, that's your field moving. That's coherence rising. That's your new timeline opening. And here's what I want you to do next. Nothing drastic, nothing big. Just take one small step from this frequency. Maybe it's writing the version of you you're broadcasting now. Maybe it's deleting the thing that no longer matches. Maybe it's sitting in silence and breathing as your future self for just 60 seconds longer. Whatever it is, let it come from certainty. And if you want to continue receiving content that aligns with this field, that supports your expansion, your coherence, and your quantum evolution, I invite you to stay with us. Not just to subscribe, but to tune in. This isn't just a channel, it's a transmission. And every time you return here, you're not just watching a video, you're reinforcing your frequency. So if this resonates, if you're done waiting for proof, if you're ready to embody the truth you've always felt deep inside, subscribe now. And in this field, you choose yourself again and again and again, until the universe has no choice but to